Oh, your thing's in the way. Okay, now let's see if this. Great. Okay. Oh, that's magnetic. Okay, so I don't need that. I just need this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use this for my
Yeah, you're welcome. to.
notes.
You
So
do this.
yeah, that'd be
Take this
great.
off.
That'd be great. Then I got this.
Should have a few more.
Molly said 4 to 5. Gila, good morning.
No, and that never quits. It just kind of goes.
Well, you two look familiar. Good. How are you?
I told people your joke today, you know, my kids, in my primary. I told them your joke, your balloon one. I thought it was.
Oh, tell me the joke.
Fine.
Mr. Christopherson.
Why are balloons so expensive?
Why?
Because of inflation.
Okay. At the end of the class today, you get the balloons.
Oh.
Okay, so Julie. Okay, tell me your name again. I
No
know
worries. I'm
Jenna. That's right.
I'm about to change the name to Smith. But
Okay.
it still has it,
Okay. And what's your name? Asher. I remember Asher from last. So you're coming to hear it all over again, huh?
Yes, I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I'm here.
Oh, no, you, hey. Ooh. So are you going back to your maiden name or are you getting remarried? Okay. Oh, good for you.
Sorry, I just did a big
And you're in Deansward, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Hopefully I'll get remarried soon. But
Make it right, huh? Yeah, yeah. That's why I have not remarried after my wife passed away. I'm scared. I feel like I got it right the first time. I don't want to try again.
I know what you mean. It's
Yeah.
tough. Ooh, bubble. Yes. The balance.
You found them.
No, I got new ones printed.
I found two.
That's
two.
so weird.
And, I mean, it's like, you know, one of the secrets of the universe, mysteries of the universe. Sheila printed out a bunch of flyers on this house, a 1,000,001 house and I picked up the flyers on that one and on the $450,000 house that I've got all this stuff on today. And somehow I have all the flyers from the $450,000 house and two. How many did you print? 20. I've got two. I don't know where the other 18 went. It's just, it's a mystery.
And then they'll show up in a couple weeks and be like,
Yeah. When I
they're
actually
sitting on
when
my
I actually
desk.
clean out the shelves in my office, I'll probably find them. My office is, I have this,
I'll
there you
put
go.
someone-
Yeah.
Here's what you did it. Forget
Yeah.
where that little special spot.
That's right. That's right. Well, if,
It's gone
yeah.
still.
If you walk into my home office, I have this beautiful glass desk and everything looks really nice. And then in one corner is this shelving unit that's, you know, just throw it on there. So maybe that's where they are. I don't know.
This is well, and I have to- So I don't have to see it. Like, look.
You gotta be careful, yeah. When I was a kid, I'm much older than you guys, there was a show on radio called Amos and Andy. And one of their friends was Mrs. McGillicuddy, who had a closet that the sound effects they did on the radio was whenever the closet door was open, it was. I think that shoving unit of mine kind of describes that, you know. I think it's just balanced perfectly. If I take something off, it might fall over. I don't think. Well, I don't want to penalize you guys for being early, but Molly said that we should have 4 to 5 people, so we'll give another couple of minutes.
Are you Zooming too?
Hunter thought I was. He set me up for it.
You are, oh, that's a screen sharing.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'll find out if I'm. Yeah, yeah. Nobody's signed in. They have to sign in.
Yes.
Well, you've already taken this class,
Yeah.
but you should, over the process of time, go to all of the Ignite classes. Yeah.
They say you.
Yeah.
Julie's been doing that. Took a little break.
I grabbed the first of the month, I grabbed the class schedule on things, you know, and then just highlight the things I want to go to. Got a lot of stuff this month. And then when Johnny does his thing every quarter, that's really worthwhile. And that's online. It's online.
You just go to, it's a, I think it's a YouTube.
I access it through the link that Shoni sends out, but I'm,
Well, Shoni doesn't send me a link.
I was just thinking that maybe I can send you the link.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's not like a password or anything.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
it's
any agent from any brokerage is invited when he does that.
Oh,
So I don't think it's any kind of top secret
Okay,
thing.
well, I'll keep track of when it is and then I'll remind you to send it. How's that?
I'll send you the one
I can
from,
be the one who's proactive.
I'll send you the one from that he did the other day.
Yeah, because if you can access past ones.
YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that's truly old news.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's anything that changes, it's the market.
It's true.
Oh, shoot. Sure.
Okay, so I have 2 clients, 2 buyers I'm working with. Sheila got to meet. So I think I'm trying to figure out how to tell, how much do I work with them before they sign a BPA? Because if they're not committed,
Are
they're
they
like,
not? Are you concerned about?
they're not signing. So I'm,
Have you asked him to?
I said, well, are you ready to qualify her?
Like, definitely talking things within that to make, help it make sense as to why they would be qualified. Because it's fun to walk through homes, and tour through homes. They can do that on open house things, on, you
Yeah,
know, all weekend long. But if they're wanting to see specific, we need to make sure that we don't want to get out, or we might be pleasantly surprised. They might apply for more than they think. So having a pre.
But that really doesn't have anything to do with the BBA. I don't, I send the BBA with the contract, with the REPSI. I don't push it at all. Not at all. Keep showing them homes. And when they find the right one, then that's the way that I do it. I've never felt, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Sure, yeah, absolutely. And some, you have, everyone has a very specific.
When you're sending it with the REPSI, there's no resistance because
Oh,
they're signing it. Yeah.
She's fine, and she's wanted to try to get closer to her husband.
Yeah.
And so she says she's already working with another realtor, but has not signed anything for the past 6 months or a year. She's looking, she's pre-qualified for about $100,000 less than she wants,
Uh,
you know, and And so she's like, yeah, show me. And she's like, I'll just wait for you.
Oh, no, no, no. No, now you're in that situation. That's a totally different situation. I'm talking about where I've got a new client. Most of my clients now are referrals, so it's not like they're going to go somewhere else. Okay, but in your situation, you can't be that, because the ethics are, if she says to you, I'm working with an agent, you have to back off. Now, if she says to you, I don't want to work with that agent any longer, okay, then that's a different story.
She's like, wants to be in my life.
Well, maybe you don't want to.
She's like stalking you. Maybe, you know what? Why don't you work with that other agent? But yeah, that's a different situation.
Well,
As we talked about in the open house, when you say, are you working with an agent? They say, yes, you're done. You're done.
But she said,
So she needs to clarify that.
I always ask if they are working. I always ask, have you gone through this before? And so that I can at least give a referral to a lender that I work
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
But if they say they're already working.
Yeah, that's a real red flag with her. I think she's stalking you. Good morning. That's good. My name's Greg. Jake, nice to meet you. Glad you're here. Well, I have a couple of, what happens when you go back to prison? Recidivists. I have a couple of recidivists here. Jake, tell us about you.
Been selling Medicare for the past 2 years.
Uh-huh.
Agent,
Uh-huh.
got my real estate license.
Come up front. Here's another returning client. I guess so. How are you?
good, how are you?
Jenna, is that right?
Chris.
Chris.
Close.
this is Jenna.
Okay.
You're in the.
But I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me. I'm in a fog, Chris. So Jake, you were saying,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Downcast. Friends that are doing it. So, getting up with money and
Okay. Have you got your license? Okay. You're ready to go. Good for you.
I'm a musician. I play guitar.
Uh-huh.
Produce music too.
Okay. Well, real quick introductions again for everybody. Julie, go ahead. Just tell us what you're doing.
It's in an agent since 2019. And here because I love Ignite and I always so I always get little tidbits of golden nuggets of information. So I like that.
Good. Good. Chris?
Yes. I'm Christopher, just hit my 1 month mark. I'll be my license.
So excited.
Yeah, it's like, what have you done so far? And I'm like, hey, work. That's what you've done.
But came once and I thought it was so good. I thought I
Well,
could do it.
thank you.
And I
Jeez.
did have one that I took for an agent.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of my practice one, which was good, but I did remember a lot of the things you told me.
Good.
So it was kind of fun.
Good. Did you get any leads off of it?
No,
Uh-huh.
I don't, I mean, I think there's a reason. No one wanted to do it. Because there were.
Yeah, sometimes you look at the house and you go, yeah. 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 No. Uh-huh. Great. Well, good experience. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and the saying that imperfect action always trumps perfect inaction. You're out doing it, and that's how you live. Yeah, that's how you learn. And we're just talking about we were just talking about the 90-day rule.
Yes.
Go ahead and tell them what that is.
50 days to produce results. so making sure that you're just, and what we were saying is we started, oh, this is going to, even if you're, even if you're not seeing results today, this is going to lead to results. I was just suspiciously like, yeah, we'll see, and it totally works.
Yep, it
And
does.
so I know
Yeah.
what I'm doing now
Yeah.
is creating success.
Yeah. It's a great book called The Slider Edge. And basically what that means is that every day, if you repeat the actions that that you're taught over time, that just multiplies. It just has to. If I'm calling every day my SOI or sending handwritten notes or whatever I'm doing, it always, come on in. It always brings results. It's just the laws of nature, you know. Hey, come up here where we can see you.
He's one of those.
That's right. I'm like this, you know. If anybody's on Zoom, they never see me. I'm always.
They're not there today.
That's right. That's right. I don't think I have anybody today. What is your name? Alicia. I'm Greg. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Tell us your story.
I'm from Utah County. Me and my husband bought a home in Mount Pleasant last year.
Uh-huh.
I have 2 kids and I've done my own residential housekeeping up until now. So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
When did you get your license?
about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you been to some Ignite classes?
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yep.
Terrific. Well, nice to
second
meet
go
you.
around. So yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, me too.
That's good. That's good. Well, this is
Yeah.
Chris, Julie, Jenna, Jake. Okay. Say hi to Alicia and Asher in the back. Well, great. Well, let's get started. I'd like to introduce Sheila Trujillo. Sheila is with First Colony Mortgage. And as we talk today about working with lenders at open houses, Sheila and I and my partner Colleen have a symbiotic relationship. We've done lots of them. In fact, 2 weekends ago, we did an open house and a buyer came through that was not going to buy that house, but Sheila and I are working with them. I'm showing them homes. She's already pre-qualified them. And so it works. It works. We'll sell them a house sometime this month, I'm sure. So, Sheila, do you want to say
Now we have
anything?
another one.
Oh, who is that? Oh, yeah. In fact, I was going to ask you about her because she had signed. I was going to ask you about her today. I have it on my sign-in sheet. Okay, there you go. So see, it works. There's 2 wonderful leads out working well together. We had a slamming open house, really. I mean, we had lots and lots of people come through Friday night. Saturday, it was a little less, but still a lot of people. And so there were times when, you know, I couldn't talk to who I wanted to, and Sheila did, and vice versa. And so between the 2 of us, there's 2, you know, sales that are going to come out of that open house. So I'm going to turn my phone off. Okay. I got a roofer out on a house in Lehigh today, and Colleen's got 5 or 6 things. Oh my goodness sake. She was gone for 16 days on a cruise. So now she's back and we are slammed. Oh boy, I'm ready. When I was trying to do 2 people's work is tough. Anyway, welcome. This class is about open houses. Now, what is the #1 source of leads that turn into sales?
No,
SOI is your #1. Always will be. The personal relationships that you develop with people will always be #1. But #2 is open houses. 51% of the people who buy a home have been through that home at an open house. So half the people that you sell a house to came to the open house. So, and then after that, they fall off pretty quickly. Those are really the two biggies. You know, you get down to cold calling at the bottom, and you know, if you do it long enough, you're going to get leads from that. But I do want to say one quick thing about SOI, and this was really, I went to family reunion in Anaheim in February, and this was really a key point that Gary Keller kept pushing. and it's called the 201 Club. And their statistics nationwide, and nobody does real estate statistics like Keller Williams. Their statistics nationwide show that if you have 201 active contacts in your My Command, that you will, how did they put it? Basically, if you have 201 active contacts in your command, then you will always have enough business from your SOI to keep you. Okay, remember the number. If you, it was 23. If you have 201 contacts that you're actively working and you have them tagged, you know what I'm talking about, in My Command. Have you guys had a My Command class yet? We got to get Hunter down and do that one time. Okay, you need. Yeah, at 12:30 every Tuesday, there's a My Command class, or yeah, but the 201 Club. Okay, here's the number. If you have 201 people in your SOI that you are actively working with, meaning that you have them tagged, that you have the 36 touch, whatever your plan is, if you're actively doing it, you will generate $300,000 a year in GCI. And that's like the 90-day thing. It's just a proven fact. So I am working very hard to get up to 201. I barely broke 100. But to me, it's not just putting it, they say, well, put in, 5 names a week or whatever. In my SOI, I don't just put in people that I had a casual conversation with. If it's been really real estate directed and they show an interest, then I'll put them in there. But I'm not going to waste my time or people's time if it's not what I consider to be, in my way of thinking, a solid real estate lead. And if it is, then so, we're doing those kinds of numbers, but so that's the SOI pitch. Join the 201 Club. I bought the T-shirt.
Got it. They have it right after team meeting. And half hour into it also has the literacy, which is what if they say yes, which is important for us too. And we need both.
Let me talk to Shoni and Hunter about that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It is true, like, what if they say yes?
You know what? Now remember also that Hunter's role here is he does one-on-one training. I mean, there's no reason why I have to wait for a class. Just get Hunter and say, hey, give me an hour, work out when that day is. And Hunter will go do one-on-one. And I'm like you. Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
tech audit where he helps you put everything in, but after that, now it's in. I know that there's like here and there.
Yeah. I'm like you. I've gone through the command training. I've gone through it, Hunter. I've gone through the online training more than once. I mean, it's not something that just immediately you've got. You need, and then to set up your own tags and everything. I mean, I needed help to do that. So don't be shy. Don't be shy. Grab Hunter and. Yeah.
But then there came a time where I did that, but I can tell you that I'm going to be in that class for a long time.
Yeah.
Because command, there's a lot in there to learn.
Are you guys working with transaction coordinators? Okay. Another thing to do is to sit down with your TC and just review the steps of the process so that you know as well as she does what those steps are. And I do that with Jen because, she jokes about Lane Thompson, who's a very successful solo agent, right? And she said if Lane had to write his own contracts, he'd totally fail. I mean, he leaves all the details to her, but that's fine. But in my mind, what I need to know is understand the process so that I'm sure that I'm making all the steps at the right time and making all the right contacts with I just did it, for example. Yeah, Jen Gray's who I use. JG Coordinating is who I use. But there are others. I mean, you don't have to use Jen, but she's very good.
Jeanette?
But I sat down and did a seller property disclosure with this client in Lehigh on the house we're talking about. And, fortunately, Jen caught a couple of things that I missed. So you really, I know there are those who think that you can do their own contracts and everything else, and that's great. I need the help. I need another set of eyes on what I'm doing. Or, we're talking, it takes longer to get a beautician's license to cut hair than it does to get a real estate license. And yet we're dealing with, in some cases, my biggest sale, $3.65 million house. We're dealing with millions of dollars. And you just have to just be careful. That's all.
Yeah, but if you mess up a haircut.
Well, that's true too. That's a big lawsuit. Anyway, we're wandering here, but all these things are important. Of course they are. Okay, so back to the open house. Let's follow our program here. Let's see if I'm doing this right this time. No, it goes this way. Oh my gosh, I did it. Okay, remember this quote from Gary: nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have. That's kind of a duh, but it's true. There's nothing, more leads you have, the more sales you make. Simple as that. Okay, let's talk about some of the things that we worry about holding an open house. I don't have a house to hold open. Okay, those of you who've been in this class before, what do we do? Yeah, and how do you do that? Go on the KW Agents website, put it out there that you're available next weekend, and you'd love, if anyone needs a household open, you'd be happy to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
You, all the listings that are, and then
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So yeah, there's no reason to wait until you have your first listing to hold an open house, because you can obviously do it. I don't have signs yet. Well, we've talked about that. We talked about my signs with balloons, right? And the balloon story is, you'll notice when you see real estate open house signs that if it has a balloon on it, your eye gravitates towards it. It catches it, as you can see just looking at that. Signs, you can borrow signs. Signs are inexpensive, relatively speaking. That setup right there is about $45 with the frame and the sign itself. No, I did this with a, oh shoot, what's the name of the company? It's like Jolly Signs, but that's not it. But it's the guy in Salt Lake that does them. And, they're nice. And then we also do our yard signs, the metal signs, through this company. It's, in case you want to know, it is. Eric Goodrich at Goodies Signs. He's in Draper. And his phone number is 801-554-8280. That's who we use. Say what?
$85 for a sign.
Holy cow. Is that a cardboard sign or a metal sign?
for the open house.
Just any sign that would make it.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. The sign part itself is like $25. And then the frame, you spend another. Yeah, agents that retire or quit, you can get those. If you get, now there's two kinds. Last time, I think I had the black frame. Yeah, I think I had the black frame last time. These white frames, and they chip so easily, but that's the way it is. Just be careful you keep these nuts tightened on the thing or they fall off. But those are different kinds. Okay. I may not know the answers to questions visitors have. All right, let's back up here a minute and talk about preparation for the open house. One of the things that you're going to do, let's assume that it's an open house that you are, it's your listing. In that case, then you will have obviously studied the house very carefully because you prepared the MLS input sheet. So you should know, and the seller property disclosure form. So you should basically know everything there is to know about that house. Even in that case, we always have, and I say we, Colleen, my partner, we always have the owner standing by on the phone. So if there's a question that we don't know the answer to, then we can ask on the spot. Now, if it's not your listing, then you've got to do some homework. Obviously, you go through the MLS input, the MLS listing, and you study the house. If you have the opportunity, you drive through the neighborhood. You use the app that we talked about. I'm sorry, Eric said some of these folks have been here before and some haven't, Jake. So that's why. And Alicia, no, not Alicia. Alicia,
Yep.
by golly, I got
You
it
got
right.
it.
Why am I doubting myself? So you go on your Utah real estate app on your phone, remember, and you hit nearby for sale, and that tells you everything in the area. Now you have to be sitting in front of the house that you're showing to get the, if you do it at your house, you'll find everything around your neighborhood, but you're not selling your house. So the purpose is to sit in front of the house that you're going to be showing and do this. And then you're knowledgeable about, if people are coming to the open house, unless they're specifically coming to that open house, then, they're going to the other open houses in the area. So you want to know what's going on in the neighborhood. Okay. Everybody got that? Okay. What else can you do to educate yourself about the house before you have an open house, if it's not your listing? Okay.
Yeah, is there anything I should know about?
Ask the agent. Ask the agent for permission to have the owner on standby so that you can call and ask questions. And, I always seem to forget in all of this process to ask, how old's the water heater? How old's the heater? How old's the air conditioner? How old's the roof? And so if you haven't asked those questions, then it's good to have the owner on hand to be able to give you answers to some, or, generally you'll know that, but on more specific things. For example, this house that Sheila and I worked together 2 weekends ago, there was a repair on the roof, and we didn't know anything about that repair on the roof. And so I needed to get hold of the owner and talk about what happened there. And what it was is that the house had a swamp cooler, a couple of decades ago, and they took it off and put in air conditioning, but there were some issues with the patch that they put on when they took off air conditioning. So those kind of things the owner's going to know. And you might not have even thought to ask those questions before because it only came up when somebody actually got up on the roof. So not nobody at the open house, I'm saying an inspector. People in an open house don't usually climb up on the roof. But anyway, okay. I remember my story about we had this beautiful home right here in Draper that we sold for $1.2 million. And remember I told you that directly across the street, and you can actually see it. Well, no, that's the wrong side of the street. Directly across the street is a big, huge, weedy open field. And so I went to the city to ask what, and then across there is an elementary school that was, I knew that was because it was on the when I looked up the zoning in the plat map, it showed that there's a lot reserved for an elementary school. But what about this big 8.5 acre lot in between? What's that all about? So I went to the city and learned that that had been designated a city park. And what's more, when I went to, so I went to planning and zoning and found that out, and then I went to Parks and Rec and found out that that it was already in the budget for 2023, that it had been sent out to various park designers, and that the neighbors were going to have the opportunity to have input once the final couple of designs were selected. So by knowing that, then when someone came into this home and stood on the front porch and looked at this weedy, crappy, junk-filled lot across the street, then I could explain. And so I had copied off on the plat and outlined it and had all the information about that this is going to be within a year and a half. This will be a beautiful park where your kids can play, and there is a playground area, a nature walk. I mean, it's really going to be a fantastic park. So that was a negative, turned into a positive just by doing a little work to see what's going on. And so, you know, the more knowledgeable you are, and I think the biggest worry that you have, and Chris, you expressed this a little bit, gosh, I'm nervous. I don't know if I can answer the question. I don't know what it's doing. You know, knowledge is power. The more you know ahead of time, then the better it's going to go.
Valuable.
Okay.
When you're showing for someone else, you have to ask the questions, I guess. But if I were having someone do an open house for me that I couldn't do,
Yeah.
I would make sure that I give them as much information.
Yes.
No offense to who I showed for, I don't know who it was, but nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing, absolutely. I don't
Yeah.
know, this is
So you
the
got to
time
ask the
for that.
questions. Yeah. You got to ask the question.
So,
You got to ask the question.
I mean, it was a good practice,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's some responsibility on the listening.
Yeah.
To give you the
Well, you'd
information.
think, I mean, they want to, because
If-
you can bring a buyer.
But that's just me. I kind
Yeah.
of sat there thinking, I mean, nobody asked anything, so.
Yeah.
But just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yeah. And Julie, sometimes, you know, you might not get the open house until the day before. So, you know, you've got, so that's when it becomes doubly important to pull out, you know, to look at the ML listing, read the inclusions and exclusions. And now you're going to have that with you at hand at the open house as well. But, you know, just to have it and then to talk, I can't imagine a listing agent wouldn't want to fill your head full, you know, because that's the opportunity for them to sell the house. Yeah. Anyway, but you got to be proactive. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, that's the next point. Open houses don't really work. Most people look online. Of course, most people look online. That's how they found your open house, for crying out loud. That's not a negative. That's not a negative at all. That's how they find the houses they want to go look at. So yeah, that's not even a point. What was the other one on this one? Be safe. I won't feel safe for the women. We talked about this a little bit, but have a can of, or a thing of mace in your purse. But if you don't feel safe, listen to your gut. Just, you know, maybe even stand outside and wait for the conversation to take place about the house when the person that's making you feel unsafe comes outside. Just use your head. Yeah. Have a partner. Yeah. That's another one of the real benefits of having a lender partner with you, because, you know, even though you tell your clients to hide all of their prescriptions and all their jewelry and everything else, there are still people. Yeah. There are still people who go to open houses to steal.
This lady that for all the cupboards, and you could tell she was looking for directly, and Julie went down in the basement and here's what she's doing in like the closet or
He
something.
was going through the closets. And I was like, well, and because we were navigating people.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you have more people
Yeah.
than people. And
Yeah.
I have to check. I
And then, what did you say? Hello?
I said,
Yeah.
can I answer any questions for you? And I closed the closet door.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not appropriate. This
Yeah.
isn't through all the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, just people looking for, and you know, you can generally spot that, but you just have to be careful. If their pupils are really dilated, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just be careful with that. Who benefits? Well, this, okay. You know what? Forget those. Let's just go through what I know. Okay, first of all, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We're going to go through the process. Okay, so you've gotten an open house, either your own listing or a listing that you're doing for somebody else. You've done your homework. You've learned as much as you can about the neighborhood, about the property. It doesn't even hurt to go on that school's, I can never remember the name of it, but I go on it, you know, check out the schools. And if they're really good schools, you can talk about it. And if they're not so good schools, just don't mention it. But there are lots of things that you can do that. Okay, so you've done that preparation. All right, it's open house Saturday morning. What are you going to do? Another thing you should have done ahead of time is scope out where you're going to put your signs and how many you're going to put out. And just remember this, especially when you're tying balloons and a windy day, it always takes longer to get your signs out than you think it will. So be sure and allow yourself plenty of time. In fact, you know, there have been times when Sheila's actually gotten there and started the open house when, you know, maybe I'm still out putting up signs. It just depends. But the most signs I've ever put out are 18. And the least I think I've ever put out are 5. So it just depends on where your traffic flow is, how you want to direct people to it. And the best way to do that is just go on Google Maps, expand it so you see all the streets around, drive the streets around. If you were looking for an open house, where would you put a sign? You know, if you were looking for an open house, where would you want to see a sign to direct you to that house?
I have
Sheila.
something to say about that. I think when Greg and Colleen put out tons of signs, and I feel like the signs are the thing that bring people in that are just barely curious.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't have another agent, they don't have a lender. They're just like, oh, cool, there's an open house, let's go check it out.
Yeah.
Well, they have a bug in their head at some point there
Yeah.
to even go to the open house, right?
Yeah.
That they want to get a house. So I feel like it's the people that come in from the signs that we end up getting deals from rather than people that are intentionally coming to the open house.
Yeah. And we ask, you know, how did you find us? And then you find out pretty quickly whether they followed the signs or they already have an agent or, you know, you have them sign in. But anyway, okay, so you've got your signs out. You've also then, and on the signs, just so you don't confuse people, start at the outside and move in. Because if you put your open house thing in front of the house and you're not ready to open up, you know, people will be knocking on the door or whatever it is. So you start from the outside and work in, okay? So the last sign you put up is the one right in front of the house. All right. What do you have inside the house when the people walk in? You've got a couple of things. I'm going to talk about this $450,000. Oh, okay. That's right. I brought this. Thank you, Sheila. Have one of these. Yeah. I took, this looks kind of fluffy because after the last open house, I took them home and washed them. No need to throw them away. Just wash them. So I washed them and then, because when they're all rolled up, it was like this, you know, but after you wash them, then it fills up. But the booty's for the people to put on. Thank you, Sheila. Okay. They walk in the door. You have positioned yourself. Now let's go back to a basic philosophy on this. Are you there to get leads or to represent the house? You need this foremost in your mind. The leads will come, I promise you. But you are there representing the seller of the home as an agent for our brokerage. Okay? And so your job is to do the best that you can to help the people that come to the open house to have a good experience in going through that house. Okay. Now, if you hover over them, then are they going to have a good experience going through the house? They're not. And I'll tell you the story that a couple of you heard last time. One of our clients had a camera on the whole time. And there was a couple that I was visiting with, and let's go in the house. And the guy, they went down to the basement, and the guy turns to his wife and said, "We came here to look at the house, not have a conversation." That was me that was having the conversation with them. Okay. So that's just a reminder that, they don't need to tell us their life story, and we don't need to know everything, or we don't need to tell them our life story, that we are there to represent the home. So the best thing to do is find a strategic spot in the house where you're not ruining the aha moment. In this home, for example, the aha moment is this room right here. You came in the front door and there was a bit of a hallway, okay? And then you walked in and there's the beautiful living room, the kitchen, and a shot right out to the pool in the backyard. So if you're standing right there, blocking that view, they don't have the opportunity to have that, yeah, I love this house. I love the look. I love the floor plan. And we staged this house, by the way. So, it really did look phenomenal. And so what this home had is as you walked in the door, immediately on the right was a home office and or bedroom. It had a Murphy bed in it too. And so I positioned myself in that room. So they came in, if they wanted to be greeted, I'd say, "Hi, glad you're here. How did you find us?" The seller has asked that people sign in so that we can give them a good count on how many people came to the open house today. And please, here's the information sheet on the property. Just feel free to go through the house, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Boom, they're gone. They're gone. They're gone through the house. You've given them this. These are, okay, when you print these off, you print these off on your computer. It's the MLS listing sheet, but you print off the client full report, not the agent full report. The agent full report has all the information about who the seller's agents are and stuff, and the commissions and everything else. You do the client full report. And then they're through the house. And if they have questions, then and you want them to have questions. If they have questions, that's when they come and talk to you. By then, they've had the experience of the home. Now, in this $450,000 house that we sold, by the way, we sold it for $475,000. But in this house, we do this on expensive homes. We do this on everything that's, $1 million plus. On these homes, we don't do this. But this home, you open the front door and you're right there. I mean, it's the old Utah split level. Here's the living room. You go upstairs to the bedrooms, you go downstairs to the family room, the kitchen's behind. And so, well, where do you stand? So Sheila and I debated about where we were going to stand in this house, and finally decided that one of us would position ourselves over in the corner. So when you walked in, you still saw the living room and everything else, and then you're just over in that corner. And the other would position themselves in the kitchen by the sliding glass door to help people go outside, because this guy's nuts about his yard, and it happens to have one of the most beautiful backyards you've ever seen in your life. Every tree right now is in bloom with different colors, and it's just spectacular. So that's how we did that. Sometimes on a smaller home, if you have two of you, one could be positioned in the living room to greet, and the other could be downstairs in the family room. But just don't get in the way. Don't get in the way of the house. You're there to sell the house, not yourself. And you will sell yourself if you're a professional about the house. Okay.
What do you say if people ask to use the bathrooms while you're showing a house? You say yes?
Yeah,
What
you
if
do.
this, I mean, this was different than open house, if you're showing, like,
Yeah,
walking through a home with a client and say, hey, can I use the bathroom?
yeah. If they have to, they do. Just check after and make sure it's been left clean. Yeah.
It's awkward.
You know, the old Boy Scout saying, when mother calls, you ought to go. When nature calls, you got to go. So, yeah, and just make sure it's cleaned up afterwards. So, sellers and buyers understand that. I mean, I'll sometimes I need to go to the bathroom when I'm alone in the house, that kind of a thing. I usually go to the houses that night. On this house, we've had 26 agent showings, other agents. So I'll just swing by at night and make sure that all the lights are off, and the house is locked up, and the bathrooms are clean. And we staged it. Yeah, we staged it. It's hard to see in these pictures. This is if I had just walked in the front door, this is what I would see, this little picture right here of the living room. And so one of us would position ourselves back in this corner, and then the other one just on the other side of this wall between the kitchen and the living room, with the sliding glass door that goes outside. So here's the yard, but this was taken, a couple of weeks ago. Now everything just bloomed all of a sudden. It's so beautiful. It really is. It's really cool. Okay, so they put on their booties. You had a short greeting and handed them the property description sheet and invited them to go around the house. The sign-in sheet, I brought you some. You have to be careful with this. Feel free to just Xerox these. I mean, they're real. It's basically your standard KW sign-in sheet. In days past, I used to be anxious to have every single person that walked in that house sign in. And I found out a couple of things. One is some people, just to placate you, will write a fake name or phone number. And a lot of people will put, even if they're not working with an agent, yes, you're working with an agent, then they know that you're not going to bug them. My experience has been that I can kind of gauge now who I think is real and who isn't. And you just ask them to sign in. And of course, the number one thing that you look for is, are you working with an agent? And if they have checked yes, then you just be nice and tell them that if they're interested in making an offer, you'd be happy to hear from their agent. And sometimes if I know they're for real, not sometimes, if I know they're for real, I will ask them who their agent is. And if you saw my sign-in sheets, there's all kinds of notes on the back. So if somebody signed in here, they're working with an agent and you think they're going to make an offer, then right here, I'll write down the name of their agent and any other information that's important. I should have brought one with me from our last open house, but on most of these, there's some notes that I've written on the back. Just make sure when you turn it over, I did this one time, we turned over, I put that on over here because that's where it was, right? Make sure it's with the right person. But the sign-in sheets are really important if you work them correctly. Just judge who I mean, if everybody's signing in, that's great. But if you've got a whole crowd of people, they're not going to stand in line of 5 people to wait to sign in. That's just not going to happen. You can't control it that well, nor do you want to, because they'll get frustrated. So just use your good sense on who you think. If you're having a conversation with someone and you think it's going to go somewhere, say, boy, listen, would you just give me your information and I will immediately get back to you about, if this isn't the home that you're interested in, I'll immediately get back to you with some others that I think would fit. So I know it's hard when you're brand new and you say, well, I need everybody to sign in. Yeah, all I can say is just, usually if you've had a conversation with someone and they said they don't have an agent and yes, they are looking, then that's where your leads come from. And as if you don't have time to talk to them then and get more information, then you call them right after and say, can you tell me what area you're looking in and what price range you're looking for? I'm going to set up an alert. And as soon as something that matches your description comes on the MLS, I'm going to call you and I'm going to send it to you. And statistics show that if you have someone that comes to the open house and that's not the house they're going to buy, but they're interested in looking, if you get back to them within 48 hours with other listings, that they're going to use you. So it is time sensitive. And you've had the open house on Saturday. That means by Monday or on Monday, you need to be back with them on Monday. And you guys know how to send a listing from your phone to a client from the MLS? So it comes under your name. You know how to do that? I don't use that app. I'll tell you what I do is on my phone, it's real simple. You go, so, hi, Jake, it was really nice to meet you at the open house. Take a look at this listing and tell me if it fits what you're looking for. Then you put www.utahrealestate.com / and the MLS number. And it comes up on their phone. And they can see all the pictures and everything else if they do it that way. utahrealestate.com. It's the MLS, utahrealestate.com. But you have to do the www. For some reason, utahrealestate.com / the MLS number, and it will come up on.
Rather than just opening up the MLS. No, I would.
Yep.
You can share.
Yeah.
Yep. And it makes it so easy because then you know what? They answer your text. I used to do the send listing off of the MLS. But the problem is that when they respond, it goes to the MLS and then they tell you somebody responded. You want them on your phone, okay? And so if you do that little trick, then let's see, let me just find anybody. Oh, and it also works off of your own email. So I just sent, for example, the open house listing I got off of this, the one that Sheila and I were laughing about where somewhere the flyers went amiss, this house right here. I'm working with a client off of that. And so yesterday or Friday, I just sent them 4 in a row, just boom, 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 boom. And they can open it from there.
Did you tell them about the flyer?
We're getting there. We're getting there. Sheila does the flyers. We're getting there. Okay. This is, and I'm sorry, Sheila got me discombobulated and we said, do it in order. I start opening the house. Here's the other thing that you use these flyers. Okay, so Sheila prints up these flyers for you. Generally, she'll get them done on Wednesday or Thursday. Okay, so this shows the house with our information as agents. And then on the back, it shows Sheila's information. Okay, and sometimes she'll put something like 2-for-1 buy down or something like that on the back of these. Does that one have it? Okay. Yeah, show them that one. She'll get a lot. Yeah, this she usually has a lot more information on her side than this. Yeah. This one was just kind of a quickie, but yeah, this is what the backside normally looks like. Yeah, this is what the backside normally looks like on what Sheila does. Okay. And this is the front. Okay. She will print these up for you so that you have time to go around the neighborhood before your open house at some point and just knock on doors and pass these out. Now, this goes back to who benefits from open houses. Neighbors are incredibly curious about what the inside of their neighbor's house looks like if they've never been in there. And they're incredibly curious about what your listing price is, because that affects their home value. And especially in the last couple of years when prices kept going up and up and up, you'd say, well, yeah, we've listed this house for $800,000. And say, oh gosh, I bought mine 5 years ago for $550 or something. So, so they get excited about that. Now, here's the line. Okay, so when I knock doors with these, there are 2 times that I do it. One is I try and get and do it. If I'm doing an open house Friday night and Saturday, I try and get out there Friday afternoon and knock doors and pass these out. And so here's the line that works for me. Hi, I'm Greg Christopherson with Keller Williams Real Estate. I have listed your neighbor's home at such and such a place, and we're holding an open house. I'd like to invite you to the open house. And hey, you get to choose your own neighbors. Do you have any friends or family that you know would be interested in living in this neighborhood? People always respond to that. They get a little chuckle. Yeah, I'd love to choose my own neighbors. I always get a little bit of chuckle out of that. I have knocked on, when we were selling whose house? It was either not Deo's, Santa's house or Santa. We have a client that Sheila worked with us on, 4 brothers, well, 3 brothers and a brother-in-law, and the Rai family, RAI, they're from Nepal, and the oldest brother's name is Santa, literally. It's not Santa Claus, but he's, anyway, when we were selling, whose house was right in that? See, Santa, and then who lived right next to her? It wasn't Dale, it was Ram, it was the other one. Anyway, Mongol. When we sold his house, I literally went around that neighborhood and knocked on at least 100 doors and passed these flyers out. At least 100 doors, maybe more. And the other time that I enjoy knocking on doors, my partner does not. So the other time that I'd use these is, we are at an open house, especially on the Saturday morning open houses. We usually do 11 to 2 on the Saturday open houses. If we're not that busy, while she's showing the house, I'll go around the neighborhood and pass these out. Okay. Now, the reason I have all of these is because I didn't get a chance to go by on Friday, and literally the house went under contract over the weekend. So there was nothing to, so thank you, Sheila. She wasted some paper here, but generally, yeah, just cross this out and put another address on it. Yeah. But generally these get used up over the weekend of the open house. Okay. Jake.
Is there, do you have like a prepared template script that you sort of have for every, every house that you knock? You say you have sort of like a script that you memorized, or just something?
No, it's just what I just said. I introduce myself. We're having an open house at your neighbor's house. Hey, this is your opportunity to choose your own neighbors. Do you have any family or friends you think might want to move into the neighborhood? That's all I do. But, I mean, if you stand there and recite something, they're going to, what? Who is this guy or girl? So that's mine. You develop your own, whatever works for you. Yeah, yeah. And then, and it has happened where on this particular house, we did not sell it to the person that came, but one of the neighbors called their friend, and literally within an hour or so, the friend came over and looked at the house. That's just from passing out a flyer. So yeah, every little thing adds up, okay? One thing isn't going to do it all the time, but everything that you do adds up. So I apologize, I got out of order. Again, before the open house, or in some cases during the open house, your partner's out knocking on doors and passing out the flyers. Just look at the neighborhood. For example, and then the other thing, if it's an expensive home, like this one is, then we have printed up this particular brochure. These are called flyers. These are called brochures. We printed up a brochure. We did a number of brochures. This is in a gated community, and I decided I was going to knock on every door in that gated community and give them one of these. So I did. About half the people weren't home, but I did go through every home in that gated community and ended up passing out probably 25 of those, of the real nice ones.
You're not just leaving them there.
Now, nobody, this is the problem. Nobody goes in the front door. Everybody goes in through the garage. So you could stick a flyer on a front door and it could sit there for a week because nobody would go in and through their front door. I mean, that's just the facts of life. Leaving a door. I've found door hangings on my door at my place that have been there for days because I go through the garage for everything. Somebody comes to see me, maybe the front door gets open, but that's about it.
Can I say something?
Please, you can say anything you want.
May disagree with, but I I find more success finding people that don't have an agent and are not pre-qualified at kind of a first-time home buyer more range than like Greg's luxury homes. When he said, do you want to go do an open house at these luxury homes? I'm kind of like, okay, I'll help you, but it's pretty rare that I'll
Yeah.
get a lead out of that, just because most of the people that are gonna go buy a luxury home already have an agent. They're smart enough to know the process.
Yeah.
right? It's probably not their first go.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, that's just, so if you have a choice to do some gorgeous luxury home or a townhome, I would say do the townhome. Not only are you gonna get more traffic, but most likely you'll find somebody that doesn't already have a.
Okay, now I'm going to disagree with that slightly.
Does always.
And here's why. From her perspective, that's true. Most people are coming into $1 million plus homes have cash, or they know where their loan is coming from. That's 100% correct. You don't get first time home buyers in these homes. Okay. This is a home they're, moving up to or moving down from if they've had some huge thing before that. So yes, I'll agree with Sheila on that from her perspective, the $450,000 home generates a lot more leads for a lender than does the $1 million plus home. I will disagree that on every $1 million plus home that we've sold, I can't think of one that I didn't get another sale off of as an agent. I can't think of one.
All right. Let's see.
So,
I will
no,
I
what
do
you,
say though, when you're first learning how to do, it's very sharp learning curve. And I do find that the lower price the home, more forgiving the.
Right.
So while you're practicing your scripts,
right,
I have found more success when I was, especially when I was first starting, I found more success with
yeah,
first-time home buyers because they don't know what they're doing either.
that's right.
And
That's
so,
right. That's right.
you know,
And you're
as you
probably
go.
less intimidated by them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And they're excited about the process and they don't know what to expect either. And
Yeah.
so, like, as you get more refined in your scripts.
Yeah. And Jenna was talking about the BBA. One way to tie them to you before you get a BBA is the lender. So if Sheila's working with them to get their pre-approval letter and everything going, and they know that we're working together, then that ties them to you as well.
And Sheila will shoot them back.
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
bunch.
Amazing. Friday.
She is amazing.
What was it?
Our one of my
No.
well, one of my very favorite stories is Sheila literally came back to us almost a year later with a client that we had an open house up in the Indian streets in Provo on a hill. And I thought, geez, what's their name? Went on my head. All those crazy little kids that are wild Indians.
Yeah,
You know who I mean. You know who I mean.
By the way, I'm tell you that Greg Red is going to be ready to buy in August.
Fantastic.
It's been a year and a half.
There you go. And at this open house, our 450 open house that we did 2 weekends ago, we came up with 2 people who will be ready in July and later in the summer. Sheila's going to keep on top of them. The Christopherson kid and Hunter. Their last name was, one of them was a distant relative that just, he doesn't know me, I don't know him, but that came through. And then that Hunter, that was the last name Hunter. So from that open house, we'll have a sale likely in July and at the end of the summer because she's working with them to make sure they're qualified. The reason we have to wait for July on the one is because he has to have been at his work for a year before he can be qualified. And the other one is they're just saving up for a down payment and had to get their credit improved. So again, there you go. So there's 4 so far out of the open house we can think of, but I'm sure at least 3 of the 4 are going to end up in sale. So it works. It works. Okay. By the sign-in sheet, I always put I printed out the MLS client full reports. They're right there. If Sheila's with us, her cards go here. If not, then you just, do it like that. But that's where Sheila's cards would go. So this is sitting right by the sign-up sheet. They're on this clipboard. And so then you got your chance to, hand them this. Any questions, please let me know. Further conversations, you're making sure they sign in, da, 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 da. Okay? Am I doing okay?
You're
How much was that? $10, $20 for that? Okay, so you've had a successful open house. If it's your own listing, be sure within minutes that you call the seller and let them know how the open house went. Even better, send them a text with details. We had 35 people through the open house. 2 or 3, whatever the number is, that are working with agents have indicated that they're interested in making an offer, and their agent will contact me, and I've got the agent information. I'll follow up. I mean, whatever happened. And in fact, there was a unrepresented buyer, and they have asked me to represent them. So we'll work in a dual agency situation on this house. Just, give them an update. Your sellers, I mean, that will endear you to them. Trust me. And if you're representing the house, if it's not your listing, you're working for another agent, give that agent the same kind of information so he can or she can pass that on to the seller. It's the details, guys. It's the details.
Well, too, I think you tell them, I put out 25 signs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no harm in telling them how.
Tell them all the things that you did to have a successful open house. I went down to the city and found out that the lot across the street is going to be a park. I mean, all those things. And I always have candy. Now, people ask about, did you have water? Should you have candy? Whatever. We run a gamut. Don't do cookies. If somebody wants to bake chocolate chip cookies so the house smells nice, that's great. But the problem with cookies is that what's the name of the cookie company? Crumble. Okay. They tell you right there what the problem is. The cookies crumble. And you end up with them on the floor and in the carpet. And if any little kids are, oh, geez. So what we've done over time is just simply just have a thing of some nice chocolates. We don't even put out water anymore. We have a cooler where Colleen loved to buy these crafted root beers, fancy root beers, and put them in there. And, it really didn't accomplish anything. So this just shows that you're welcoming them. I mean, I'm joking, but this means that I care enough to have a little something here for you. Thank you for coming to the house. That's all you need, is something like that.
That's pretty bad mishaps with chocolates. Summer. So
Yeah.
I've had ones where I've been.
Keep it in the house, right? But
By the time
Yeah.
I get to the house,
Yeah.
they're like.
oh yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
You know what I do? I stick them right in the front passenger wheel well so the air conditioner's blowing on them. I've had the same experience. I bought a whole thing of those wonderful Utah truffles. And when I got to the house, it all melted. So stick them in the front wheel.
Can I make another suggestion?
Certainly.
So, I think it's cool to have like an open house kit where all the stuff is just ready to go and it's just in a spot. The other thing is we get into houses a lot of times that they have cleaned out so much of everything that you have no broom, you have no, window cleaner if something's dirty.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I go around and like, let's fix this. So yeah, disinfectant wipes, when you've got your booties in there, what else, Julie? I mean,
So I have 2 kids. I have a kit and a clean kit and the cleaning kit. Yeah, so it's got like spray for windows and stuff.
Yeah, because people touch the windows and
Yeah. Yeah, so also in the cleaning kit, I don't
Paper
have it.
towels,
Yeah, paper towels.
toilet paper, because sometimes you go in a vacant
2
house.
rolls of toilet
And if you have to
paper.
go to the bathroom, there's no toilet paper.
And
When
then,
I'll tell you a gross story.
That's-
When I was a missionary in Brazil, back when Brigham Young called me, it was a time of hyperinflation. And so then it was called Cruzeiros. Now there's another name because they got rid of that currency. Now it's the real. But literally the lower denominations became so worthless that in emergency we used them as toilet paper.
Oh, no.
Now that was terrible. I don't know why I said that. Okay. Gives you a mental picture you want to just get rid of it. Yeah, you don't want that. So this is the layout right here. Okay. So where do you put it? Usually on a kitchen counter, but don't block, if you've had the home stage, don't block the nice staging that your stager has done. I mean, literally, if you put it in someplace on the kitchen counter, you're competing with the staging. So maybe you go to a counter that doesn't have anything on or what. Just be aware that this could block some of the nice staging that you paid a lot of dollars to have done. So, okay, so that's post. If it's your listing, while the home is still under contract before it closes, it doesn't hurt to just once in a while drive by and make sure there aren't lights, and it's a vacant house. There aren't lights on. Okay, this $450,000 house, let me tell you this story, and this can happen to anybody. We got it under contract for $465, right? All cash. Guess what? All buyers are liars and all sellers are storytellers. Their lender contacted us, and guess what? You know Todd. You know Todd, the lender that Colleen used to deal with. Well, what happened is we went under contract for cash, and then the agent, and it's actually the agent that contacted us. We just knew the lender, said, gosh, you know what? We've decided that we're going to finance it, but the lender has assured me that the cash will be there at closing. So, hello, lender. What's going on? Well, this might have to be an FHA. Done. Goodbye. So your 9-day cash close just turned into a nightmare. So we cut the rope there, went back under contract last Thursday, I guess it was. Wednesday or Thursday. Let's see, what was, Wednesday or Thursday. At 475 with a client that I had kept the information on. We did not have an official backup offer, but I had kept their agent's information. I talked to him a couple of times. I called him. I said, he's Scott at Exit Realty. I said, hey, Scott, you know that Tom and Emily? Are you happy? I'm so happy. Me too. We fell in love with this couple. They are the most wonderful, sweetest kids, and they got beat out on the first offer, and she literally was in tears. What Scott told me. So I called up. So Colleen's on her cruise, and we're still spending millions of dollars on ship to shore phone calls, and so we had five other written offers, submitted offers, 24 agent showings, big open house, pulled down to six repsies. And so Colleen and I were talking. I said, look, we can go back to anybody, but Sheila and I fell in love with this couple. And we have this house belongs to Tom and Emily. And so we got to go back to them first. So I called Scott Miller, their agent, who, in the process I had conversations, hey, Scott, or Tom and Emily still, have they bought something else? They're still looking. He says, no, they're still, I saw you. Their house in Lehigh. Oh my gosh. That's the home of their dreams, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Anyway, we're under contract with them at 475. And so, and that's conventional financing. It's gonna close on, oh, I don't have the 19th, I think. It closes this month anyway. So, those things happen too. But the right people got the house. My mantra is the right people find the right house at the right time. And I've seen it happen so many times, I can't not agree with that. So there was the fire hose. Questions, thoughts, comments?
I would let somebody talk more about the cleaning it and the house.
And that's great. I'm not very good at that, and I should be. Yeah, go ahead.
So I made these. They're very specific. They have. Tab where it's like and then and then sign-in sheets, I have a bunch of them. And the flyers, they go into the kit, so I don't have to look.
Yeah.
And, my cards, I carry a stack of lender cards so that there's always like, if they're not, they could card to a. if they're not.
I want to do an open house with you. You're more prepared than I am.
I just don't want to have to think of it.
But okay, so Saturday on this house, we had gone under contract, but there was one couple, lovely couple from India originally, lived in Lehigh, that really wanted to see this house and put in a backup offer. So I met them there Saturday at noon. And then, knowing this is going to be the last showing anyway, I completely vacuumed the house and swept all the floors. Now, why would I do that? Because the seller is going to come back to the house at some point, and you want it to look nice, that you really took care of the house. So those kind of things. So yeah, well, that's okay. The thing about open houses is that they don't cost much, but it takes a significant amount of time. And the time is not at the open house. The time is the before and the after. The time is in the preparation to know the house, the neighbor, whatever you need. The time is in getting your signs out. The time is getting there, after your signs out, at least 15 minutes before the open house is supposed to start, so that you can get your little grouping going. Okay. And then if you're not following up after, remember the 48-hour rule on these things. Okay. The time spent afterwards is probably your most critical time if you have some leads that have been generated off that open. Not every open house is going to give you leads. I mean, let's face it, Chris, not every open house is going to give you leads. Colleen tells a story about when she started, her first open house was a vacant house. Okay. And she didn't even think to bring a chair. So she sat on the floor for, I think it was 4 or 5 weekends that they had that house open. And finally, on the last, she didn't sell that house, but from that open house, she got one lead, and that lead has led her to, she can trace at least 5 other sales that came off of that. Well, she sat there week after week and got nothing. Now, we've gotten to the point where we stage our own listings. We basically stage them all, unless if it's vacant. You see, if the people still have their furniture, then we still do a semi-stage where the stager will look at their furniture and figure out how to work it in. On this house, the 1,000,001 in Bluffdale, she didn't want any of that furniture. So it all went to the huge garage and completely staged, even though the people are still there from time to time. They have a home in Arizona. 12x4. So staging's a whole nother deal. It's expensive. We believe in it. We do it. But at this point, you might not have enough set aside to be able to start doing that. That's kind of up to you. Some of the newer agents that want to stage, we pay for it out of our commission. Some of the newer agents that still want to stage will talk to their client about it, their listing client about it, and ask them to pay for it. So there's ways to do it. But we spent last year, 2022, Colleen and I spent $39,000 on staging. But we also sold $25 million worth of houses. It's worth it. Worth it.
It does make a difference. I feel like people can't see past people's furniture and, you know, it's really strange because you just think, oh, they're just gonna see the house and the house is awesome, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's got outdated furniture and all the people just can't see past it.
Oh, yeah. And pictures of, 5 generations of family and 4 generations of dogs. And,
The sellers in their front room had wall to wall like display cases with porcelain dolls. And I was just like, shoot. This room feels 5 feet wide. And so as people were walking in, part of my open house day, I've measured. And I actually, when people came in, I'd be like, I know it feels small in here, but look, this is a 12-foot wide room.
Yeah.
And it made a difference. It's actually what's in the house.
Yeah.
And
good work, Julie.
yeah, so I snagged
Yeah.
that client, but then I sold her house too. So from doing
go.
a measuring tape, I got.
The other house is either it's got their furniture and or it's vacant. The reason to stage a vacant house is is cold. It is not, you don't have the aha moment because there's nothing to aha about. It's carpet and walls, So really you want to stage a vacant house. Well, I went in, a good friend of mine is an interior designer, and she wanted me to take her to a house in River Bottoms. She doesn't have a super key. So I just called the agent and said, hey, I've got a friend's interior designer, and we have clients from out of state from time to time. I just want to show the house to her. They said, fine. So I went in the house. This house, they're asking $3 million for the house, right? Geez, I mean, it's a 14,000 square foot with a guest house, phenomenal home, but it hasn't been staged. And what the furniture that the people who move out have left behind in kind of a semi-stage was awful, absolutely awful. And that's a $3 million house. Yeesh, You want to sell your $3 million house? Did we stage the 3 points? We staged the 3.6. We spent, what was it, $6,000 staging the house we sold, listed for $350 and sold for $3,650,000. Of course you stage it. So, but again, I recognize that you might not have the cash to write out. This home to stage was $1,850. Small home. Didn't.
They get way more offers than other people because they make the house look so and so, I mean, this house was a 1960s, whatever, right? They made the people paint it. Did you put in new carpet?
All new, 100% new carpet.
New carpet, and they staged it. Well, these people got way over asking price.
Yeah.
And they have 5 offers to choose from, right? That's what Greg and Colleen do. We can be a semi agent and just do kind of a half, job. Yeah, half baked job. But I mean, there's a huge difference when you go to an open house that's like people didn't care. They didn't tell the people anything. That the family pictures are still on the wall. They've got Jesus still on the wall. I mean, just
Yeah, this house, if you walk, when we listed this house, these people love blue. And every room was some shade of blue from lighter to darker, including a bathroom with no windows that was painted dark blue. And so, so we insisted that and so what happened was, the reason they had to sell the house is because her knees have gone bad. So I found them a new home to buy in American Fork in a 55 plus community. They bought that house, they moved. Okay, once they moved everything out, then we insisted that it be completely repainted, and our stager suggested a very nice color. It was just slightly off white. And they did, to their credit, they did buy. One sec. Hello, this is Greg. Uh-huh. That home, yeah, I've left the sign out in the street until it closes, but it is under contract, and it's a cash deal. It's going to close. I'd be happy to find another property for you. Uh-huh. 1,050,000, 1050. Uh-huh. Great. That Bolden Falls is really, that whole gated community really is fantastic. I agree with you. I agree with you. Are you working with an agent? Uh-huh. Well, if you'd like to text me your information, I'd be more than happy to find homes that meet the criteria you're looking for. And what I do is set up an alert, and as soon as something comes on the MLS, then I immediately send it to you, like within minutes of it coming on the MLS. And that way, we're first in. I'm sorry. Yes. This is my business cell. Yeah, that would be great. Okay, please do that, and I'll get back in touch with you, and we'll find you just the right home. You're sure welcome. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I don't know if you heard any of that conversation, but let me tell you what just happened. This guy was driving by this house. We still have our sign in the yard because it hasn't closed. Okay, and you heard what I said to him. I explained it sold. He asked what price. I said, I'd be happy to help you find a similar home. Are you working with an agent? Well, no. And I said, and then you heard my spiel. Listen, text me your contact information. I'll find you. I'll call you later, but I can set up alert on MLS. We'll find you something else. So if he texts me his stuff like he said he would, then boom, they're $1 million home buyer. So there you go. That's how it works. Simple.
Instead of talking carpet. But you said you got the sellers to switch out their carpet. How did you get them to do that, or did you pay for it?
No, they paid for it.
Okay. What if you can't? Because that was
It's tough love. I mean, you just have to say, okay, you know where Three Falls is? That is now the most expensive area in anywhere in the state, including Park City. And nobody knows about it. The guy, what's his name, Smith, that owns the Jazz and all that kind of stuff. He's building a monster home up there. It's an Alpine, but you can't see it. Three Falls. Okay. You go up, you know where the Montessori school is? I know because my daughter teaches there. Okay. You go around the circle in Alpine, and then you just head straight up. And at one corner, there's that barn where on the right hand side, where they have receptions and stuff on the Montessori school. And like I said, because my daughter is there, teaches there. Keep going straight up that road. And then you make a left-hand turn. It kind of goes up the hill, and you make a left-hand turn. And Three Falls is going to be gated, but they're still under construction on so many homes that you can drive through. You drive back in there, and there's not a home in there that's probably less than 10 million bucks. That's unbelievable. And nobody knows about it. And I wish I could sell a home, but everybody went in there, bought a lot, and has their own builder. And no, there's no spec homes in there. This is all uber wealthy people moving to Utah, and they don't want to be up in the Cove in Alpine because that's too public. This is their own little, what's the one next to Beverly Hills? The one next to Beverly Hills that has all the trees. Bel Air. Okay, it's their own little Bel Air. You can drive through Beverly Hills on the streets. Yeah, you go to Bel Air, you can't see anything because of all the trees and the walls, right? Okay. So, okay. So I'm gonna tell you, there is a story. Before you get into Three Falls, then there are homes that were probably some nice homes, some newer ones, but some homes that were built in the 60s, 70s, whatever, that have acreage. Okay, that's some nice ones. So off of the $3.65 million house, a guy came through. He says, I've got a house on the river, I knew where it was. He said, I'm interested in selling it. I said, great, let's set up a time and we'll come by and we'll, you have to see the house, obviously. So we'll come by and go through your house and, give you an idea what we sell for. So we go through the house. I said, have you got a figure in mind? Yeah. He says, I want to get at least 2.2 million out of this house. That house was exactly what you're talking about. They had collected junk from every corner of the world, and it was all there, row after row of cabinets, and they were art collectors, and the walls. I mean, that house, I'm claustrophobic. I could hardly wait to get out the door. And it's a big house on 3 acres. And you know what? We turned down the listing. Because I said, and Colleen, we both, teamed up and said, in order to sell this house, you've got to be, for us to sell your house, you've got to move everything out and we'll have it staged. Yeah, absolutely. No. Anybody that comes here will appreciate all of this, and I want $2.2 million. And we weren't going to fight it. Measuring tape idea is a great idea, but I guarantee you, whatever that house was, whatever that house was, this was 10 times worse. There was not 1 square inch on the walls, and in that house, it didn't have the table. I don't know where they ate their meals. Table. These people collected Hummel. You know what I'm talking about? Those little Hummel things? Like their kitchen table was 200 pieces of Hummel. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, we did have the nice talk, and the guy just said right up front, and his wife wasn't there, just the guy says, no, absolutely not. You sell it as is. We said, thanks a lot. No, but the lot was. What I talked to a couple of my clients that do land deals, come in and either fix up that house or tear it down and put 3 houses. And so we could never make it work because the slope down to the stream was too extreme, and with the Alpine's tough, with their slope laws and stuff, they would have had to put up a wall like that one right out there, and then bring in dirt behind that. So yeah, it just didn't pencil out. But yeah, I had my guys from Ridgepoint go out and look at it, and they just said, no, it just doesn't make enough sense. And the ingress egress was tough. So, but yeah, we turned that one down. Turned it down. It's just, it would not have been worth the agony that we would have gone through to try and sell that piece of junk. It looked like a flipper house with so much crap in it. A hoarder house. Yeah.
In other homes where it's not like that, there's really little. So
Yeah.
it's easier to have these conversations.
And the beginning of that conversation always is, if someone's going to buy your home, they want to walk in and project themselves living in this home. And so in order for them to do that, then we have to take down your family pictures, the religious pictures, whatever. Exactly. Your home needs to be a canvas on which they can paint their own picture of themselves living here. And so, we have to make it like that. And so the way we found the best way to make it is clear it all out and stage it. but there are ways to work around, especially if the people are still living there. Then you've obviously got another set of issues. So, yeah, but good point. I really like that tape measure. That's a great idea. That was a great idea. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I do keep in my car is a dustpan and a small broom, because when you go around, you're always going to, especially if they have a yard and people tracking grass or leaves or stuff, you're doing that all the time.
So the
Jenna.
carpet thing, so this weekend I was in two houses. They both had disgusting carpet. It was stretched out, it had dog pee everywhere, it pooped.
Yeah.
So I don't wanna sell a house like that. And if I can't get the seller to pay for new carpet before we show the house, what do I do?
There's other options. Say, well, you probably won't sell it for as much. Maybe do a session on replacing carpet.
Yep.
Yeah. Flyer.
That's what I was going to say.
That's
You,
all it's-
if they're not going to do it, then you just get them to admit the problem that somebody is not going to buy that house. That someone who's buying that house is going to have to replace the carpet. And so the best way to say is right in here, you're going to say there's a $2,500 seller concession for seller will contribute $2,500 at closing for new carpet. Now, do you have buy one of those little black lights too? You know what I'm talking about? The ones that show where the dog. Maybe I told you the story last time, but this is so true. Beautiful home right by the Alpine Country Club. We did really well with it. Got a great price for them. But when we first walked in there, the dog pee would just, and people get nose blind. They really do. My oldest daughter, my granddaughter, Marin, who's a wonderful girl, she loves cats. So in my oldest daughter's house, for years, there've been 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 cats. Okay. And it's pretty hard to stay ahead of the litter box when you got 3 cats. And so I went in there, and I said to my daughter, I said, honey, you have become nose blind. She was the really excited person. I said, you have people come to your house for your meetings and stuff. They're not telling you, but there used to be an ad, I can't remember, some odor company on TV, and the people walk in and go, fish, that kind of thing. I said, honey, to my daughter Nicole, who I love the piece, I said, honey, people walk in your house and they smell cat poop. You need anyway. They reformed and got it. but so in this house by the Alpine Country Club, oh yeah, my little dog, this cute thing, has just had some accidents here and there. Okay, we went in. So I got the carpet cleaner that I use. I had him come over, give me a bid on it, and he's obviously gonna have to use the animal stuff. Well, he had a light. I didn't have one of those lights at that time. He had one of those lights, and he turned it on, and there were hundreds of spots in that carpet where the dog had peed. So anyway, so I brought the buyer her back over, and this was very hard. She cried. She literally cried. But so I got a light. I turned on the light and I said, you got to replace the carpet. Yeah. No, she gave a carpet allowance. My cleaner cleaned it and deodorized it, but the deodorizer only lasts for a period of time. Okay, keep in mind that will always come back because it's gone down into the backing of the carpet. It's gone down into that backing, and so you will not get it out. So on that $1,050,000 house, we went down to the basement. There was a terrible smell. They had a cat. They got another cat. The first cat was dominant, wouldn't let the cat use the litter box, so the cat peed in the corner for quite a while. So again, I had to have that cleaned out, and they gave a carpet allowance. Anyway, there you go. There's a story that every house says. What was that old dragnet? There are 8 million people in the naked city, and everyone has a story.
say, hey, look. it
Yeah.
really is hard.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, it's the truth.
You gotta change.
Yeah, we do. We do. Luckily, these clients, and I will say at first, they were a little bit standoffish. He was president of the country club and da 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 da. And they had a hard time admitting that there were any issues in their home that they loved to pieces. And that was a referral for me from her brother, who I had sold his son. The dad paid for it, which is why I knew him. I'd sold his son a condo at DR Horton in Cold Springs Ranch, or at Lakeside. And we had a real nice relationship. His dad is the guy that is really my client, was over property manager for like 30 different state buildings around the state. So he knew real estate, he knew property. And so we got along really well, and we've had have a nice friendship. So he, when the sister and brother-in-law ready to sell their house, then he calls them and you gotta use this guy, blah, blah, blah. So we had a rocky patch to start off with. We really did, when I had to tell them that their home had some problems that made it hard to sell. They had some wooden doors going into they weren't French doors, but they were like that going to the backyard, that over time had weathered and swollen. You couldn't open or shut them. Well, what's wrong with that? We never use those doors. Yeah, but so there had to be some work done there and stuff. But you just be nice, you be yourself, but you be frank and upfront, and people appreciate that. Now, if you went on our Google and read our Google reviews, the second longest review that says that Colleen and I are part of the Trinity is from those people, from Alpine, from that Alpine Country Club house. And when Dave wrote it, he wrote, and then Greg came back and did this, and Colleen did. I mean, it was the whole litany of everything it took to sell that house. They put in there all the great things we did. So, yeah.
So who pays for the carpet cleaning?
We generally pay for it. I've got a guy that's inexpensive, that's done a lot of the work for me. I use, actually, we started using another one as well. Now here's where Colleen and I have a disagreement. We've never really quite resolved it. Did any of you go to the expo at the Red Barn on what day was that? Last Tuesday. See, I'm a believer that I should be able to give my clients referrals for stuff like carpet cleaners, like everything else they had at that. What, they have 40 different booths or whatever. I took everybody's card, and then I'll go back and look and decide who I want to recommend. But Colleen feels like if we refer someone and they don't do a good job, then it reflects back on us. Like I say, I'm her daytime husband, she's also her nighttime husband. And in our business marriage, that's just something we disagree on. And so I'll give out referrals for that, and she won't. There you go. So the carpet guy that I use, exactly. And if you have a problem, then you resolve it. I mean, it's, let's see. I use Corey, Corey, Canyon, Kenyon. His number is 801-865-5218. Corey is basically a one-man shop. 865-5218. But I love the name of his company, A Perfectionist's Touch Carpet Cleaning. Isn't that great? But he's a one-man shop, so you're dealing with that. But I prefer that because then if there's an issue, I can call him and say, hey, Corey, that house still stinks, go back and try something else, something. So he's good. Colleen has got one that she's tried. I don't know if I got it on my phone. Let me see. I don't think I've entered them as a vendor yet, but I think there's a way I can tell you. And these people, I mean, they have good ads. Good repute, all 5-star. Of course, it reminds me of the cartoon I saw once in the paper that guy's sitting with it. Here's the banker on this side of the desk, and this guy's sitting on the other side of this, just looking so forlorn. And the banker says, "Well, Mr. Jones, unfortunately, the people who write our ads don't make our loans." Get it?
Thinking of something else. What did you say? I'll listen this time.
The punchline is the bankers, the guy's dejected, sitting across from the banker. The banker says, "Unfortunately, the people who write our ads don't make our loans." Shoot, where's that other? Let me see if I can just find that other. That's on a different, that's a house up in West Jordan that we're using them on. Da-da-da-da-da-da. It's called Zero something. I can't think. What is it? That's it. Zero Res. Are they? Yeah, we're using them for the first time on the house, a townhome with 2 Siberian Huskies. What are people thinking? Anyway, hey guys, time's up. It's been great. I'm available anytime. Give me a call if you have any questions. Take a chocolate. I like these chocolates. I'll have to take one. I like the caramel sea salt. There it is right there. Dark chocolate caramel sea salt. That's supposedly, dark chocolate's healthy for you. Eat all you can. Thank you, everybody, for your comments and questions. Julie, I really appreciate it. You want?